across the Arklatex and what kind of condition these roads are in. So first of all, we'll go up to Texarkana and we'll look at some of the roadways there. Now, when you see the red, that doesn't mean there's a lot of traffic. That means everybody has to travel really slow because folks that are on the road are traveling really slow because of the ice out there. And take a look at some of these tower cams and some of these DOT cameras. We're going to see that it's definitely on the icy side still across a lot of places. Now, that is I-30 and 93. You can see you have a lot of pavement there on the road. So traffic is flowing pretty good on I-30 up there in Texarkana. Let's see, we're going to go over towards Nash, Texas. Now, not all of these tower cams are working, but we'll take other ones and we'll see which ones are working. You can see there, that one may not be updating in Nash, Texas. So we'll take a look at some other ones here over towards Hooks, Texas. And that one is working. You can see pretty good pavement there in Hooks, Texas. That's I-30 and west of Garden in Hooks, Texas. So that's pretty good there. That's about the best that I've seen. And so if you go further to the west there near New Boston, in parts of Northeast Texas, good roadways there as well. So no icy conditions there. Further towards the south, we're going to see in South Texarkana what they look like. And you can see not too bad there. Now, of course, the secondary roads you can see there are very, very icy. So once you get off the main road, it is definitely on the icy side. So just because the interstates are not slippery doesn't mean that the back roads aren't. And we can see some of these over here on Highway 59 to the south of Texarkana. US 59 looks pretty good there as well. I don't see any kind of problems there. Folks are moving pretty quickly on that roadway in parts of Northeast Texas. And let's see, we'll go down towards the Shreveport-Bossier area and see what these roads look like. You know, it's very icy out there on the secondary roads, like I said. So as we approach the Shreveport-Bossier area, roads are a little slipperier. Now that is 220 near the North Market interchange. Not too bad. So you can see there, you see a lot of blacktop. So that means there's not a lot of ice on those roads. As we go over on I-20 towards Swan Lake, looks pretty good also. Now that's the median there, of course, but you can see that the roads themselves, they've done a good job on these roads. Now, you know, with the sun coming out, that's going to really help the secondary roads. The main roads, that's I-20 and Industrial, not too bad. Not quite 2 lanes open. So that's the thing with I-20 is that there's probably one good lane going in each direction. So you're going to have to do single file in these roads right now because they're not really 2 of them open. There's just usually 1 lane open. This is 220, and you can see there's almost 2 lanes there, but there is still some iciness on those roads. A lot of these ruts that have developed on these roads. So once the sun comes out, it's going to melt a lot of these ruts, and you can see this is I-220 going across Lake Bridge. It looks pretty good there. Maybe some icy spots, and not quite 2 lanes there. This is still basically a 1 lane each way. So that's the thing, that the cars going over these, they pretty much have worn down the ice to about 1 lane. We're not seeing a lot of 2 lanes yet, but that's going to be improving with the sun and the warmer temperatures. That's 220 in Jefferson Page. Again, maybe a lane and a half open, but the lanes that are open, they look pretty dry. And we're going to continue to look at some of these roads. And you can see there, that is I-20 and Pines Road. Again, basically 1 lane. These should be 2 lanes going in each direction, but we're not quite seeing that because there's ice on the edges of the road. So it's basically single file there. As we go further into Shreveport-Bossier, we'll see this one. This is I-20, and let's see, that's Lakeshore. So you can see that one. Pretty good lanes, almost 2 lanes open on that one. But again, there is some iciness on some of these. So it's limited to 1 lane in each direction. So just keep that in mind. If you got to go out and get on the road, they are definitely passable, but there's basically 1 lane. So don't try to squeeze by people just because you want to go a little faster, because, you know, you get into those, you know, edges of the road that are quite not cleared yet, and you could run into a little bit of snow and ice. Now, of course, that's the I-49 and I-20 interchange. There's no, I mean, it's closed. That's why you're not seeing any cars on there, but they're going to probably try to plow that. Looks like they tried to plow that part a little bit, and then they kind of gave up, I guess. But that's going to have to be completely melted. Now that's got some thicker ice on it. It's probably a couple inches, maybe 3 inches of sleet on there. So that one's going to take a little longer if they even try to plow that one. They might just let it melt, but I don't know what the DOT plans are. That's I-20 and Old Minden Road. That one looks pretty good. Now, the good thing about this is that, most of that construction in I-20 is over. Can you imagine if you had this construction still going on with all those barriers up? You would have a lot of accidents there. So at least these barriers are down because the main construction is over. You still have some of that ice there you can see on the edges of the road. So again, there's just really one lane going in each direction. So it's not fully open to 2 lanes in each direction. So just keep that in mind. Don't try to pass folks on that icy part. You'll just slip and slide and it might hit somebody. So just stay in a single lane until that melts off. And that will melt off a little bit today, but definitely in the next couple of days. So most of these roads are open, and where you see the purple, the road is closed. So, that's a problem there. But a lot of these are open, and so we're going to get some good melting on this today. So just keep that in mind. Joella, might be 2 lanes open there. So in parts of I-20, there are 2 lanes open, and you can travel pretty good there. All right, so that's what it looks like on our DOT cameras. We're going to go look at some of the weather graphics now, and it's looking a lot better. In fact, we still have that extreme cold warning up, but that's going to be expiring about noon today. So what that means is it's going to be extremely cold until then. It's still going to be very icy until about noon. And once we get above 32, we'll start to see the melting, kind of like we saw yesterday. We got to about 34, and there's some places. So we were seeing some melting, but it was mainly from the direct sun. You can have direct sun with temperatures below 32 and still have some melting. So we saw that yesterday. But when you have the direct sun and above 32, that's when the melting really starts intensifying. And we're going to see near 40 today. So by later this afternoon, maximum heating, be around 40, maybe 43. With that direct sun, we're going to see a lot more melting going on these roadways. So that's going to continue. 40s today, might see some 50s tomorrow. So the roads will definitely continue to improve today and tomorrow. Now, a lot of schools, of course, are out today, but what's going to happen tomorrow? Well, the school districts are going to check out the roads and see what they look like. If they still, are ice covered in some places, they might close school again tomorrow. So it all depends on how much melting we get today. Most of the schools will make a decision about 4 o'clock later on today. So, there might be good roads in the city areas, but it's really the outside of the city areas, the rural areas where the school buses have to go on. If those are still icy, then they're going to close school. Not necessarily because it's icy in, some of the city areas, but in the suburb areas, the rural areas. They can't get a school bus out there in these rural places and they get in an accident. That would not be good. So we'll have to wait and see on school outages for tomorrow, later on today. All right, so it is the cold that we're dealing with. The precipitation is way over, so the cold is going to expire at noon today, and temperatures will get above freezing. We're not expecting this to be reissued for tonight. So the jet stream is what brought all this mess in here. That jet stream, you remember, just took a big dip out to the west, and that opened the door to the Arctic. The big polar vortex that you've been hearing about, there it is. That's the big polar vortex way up here in eastern parts of Canada. A piece of that came down. You can see how far south this cold air made it, all the way down to South Texas. Temperatures this morning near Brownsville were in the mid-30s. Even down in Orlando, they were in the mid-30s this morning. Really just Southern California and extreme South Florida and Miami didn't get this cold air. Now that's for today. Tomorrow, we're going to get another blast of this air. Now there's that polar vortex right up there. Usually this polar vortex is much further north near the polar region, but sometimes in the wintertime, it makes its way south. Now, if this thing ever got into the U.S., we would be in serious trouble, but usually doesn't make it into the U.S. Usually it just kind of sits here. If it does come south towards the Canadian border here, and we get a piece of that. So, even with a piece of this, look at how cold it is out there. So if we got more of this polar vortex, we would really be in a lot of trouble. But right now we have that northwest flow, so we're still getting those cold temperatures tomorrow. It will warm up a little bit. Notice this yellow color here in southwest Texas. They'll be maybe in the 60s tomorrow there. El Paso, down along the Rio Grande. We'll be maybe near 50 tomorrow. So still cool, but it'd be a little bit warmer on Thursday. We might get to the mid 50s. Now, I want you to note this little dip here. It's a subtle dip in the JIP. That's going to come in here on Thursday night. So what it's going to do is not give us a winter storm. It's going to give us another blast of some of this polar air. So this is this little dip that's going to swing down here. And, you know, sometimes we see these little upper level disturbances. You see maybe a couple of flurries with this. Possible, but not likely. I got about less than 10%. So we're not going to see anything like we saw, but it definitely will kind of bring another blast of some cold Arctic air in here on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now, of course, the other problem is the power outage. We had a lot of power outages with the freezing rain and sleet. Now, if you remember a couple of days ago, we had a lot of red here. That was 50, 60,000 people without power. We're not seeing that red. We're seeing more of the yellow color, which is better. Still thousands of people here east near the Monroe area. In the green, about 5,000 people out. But this is much improved. The blue are only hundreds of people out. So the folks are working at it. They are chipping away at these power outages. And this is mainly in a lot of the rural areas here. But it will be improving. There's no power outage in Bossier Parish, Webster, Claiborne. There's still some in Caddo Parish that they're working on and parts of East Texas. But this is vastly improved than it was a couple of days ago. Now, the other problem is that we're seeing this morning, other roads, of course, very icy. So it's really the road temperatures that we're looking at, not the air temperatures. The road temperatures will be a reflection of, you know, the sun hitting it, and now with temperatures getting above freezing today, the air temperatures, that will help to warm these things up. So I'm going to put this in motion. You're going to see the road temperatures a lot warmer. So the road temperatures will be in the 50s. This is going to accelerate a lot of the melting going on. We didn't have this yesterday. We had some sun, but we didn't have the warmer temperatures. So today we'll have the sun and some warmer temperatures. Now, 40s isn't warm, but it's enough of a warming to melt a lot of this ice that we're going to see. Of course, when the sun goes down, we'll see those road temperatures cooling off again, but not as bad as it has been. Still some 20s, so we'll have some refreezing, especially in northern areas, of some of that moisture that's melting today. That moisture will refreeze, but not as much of it. A lot of it will evaporate. So once it evaporates, you know, it's not going to be a problem, but we'll still have some refreezing. So just keep that in mind. Tomorrow, watch the road temperatures tomorrow. Yeah, Wednesday afternoon, 60s, even some 70s. So this will pretty much put an end to the ice. When we get these road temperatures in the 60s, I think Wednesday afternoon, you'll see almost all the ice melt, and especially on Thursday, it'll be gone. So we got definitely better weather coming. If enough ice melts, then they'll open the schools tomorrow, but all depends on how much ice melts tonight. They might have to close school one more day just to make sure that it's all gone, and they'll open school up on Thursday, but nothing's been announced or official yet. So air temperatures right now, 15 in DeQueen, 19 in Magnolia, 17 in Mount Pleasant, 20 in Texarkana. So really cold air. I just stepped outside our studios, and it's not real windy, but you can feel it's like Arctic air out there. It's air that we usually don't feel around here in the wintertime. So very, very cold air. 19 in Shreveport. I think we hit a low maybe of 17 this morning was the official low, but I'll have to look on that. The record was 13. That was 129 years ago. So we didn't tie it, but still extremely cold for this time of year. 15 in St. Augustine, 16 right now in Carthage. So 20 in Natchitoches and Manny, 20 in Nacogdoches also. So, of course, it's not freezing yet, so everything's still icy. So that's why I say we're not going to see the melting until this afternoon when it gets above 32 and in the 40s and with that sun out there. So all morning, be careful. It's very icy out there. Now, like I said, it's cold and doesn't take much of a wind. We could see 5 to 10 mile an hour winds, which are giving wind chills, near 10 in Carthage, 12 in Texarkana, 9 in El Dorado. So there are some wind chills that are very cold. So if you got cabin fever, the kids are getting restless, you want to send them outside to play around, in the sleet or whatnot, make sure they've got gloves on, hat, boots, because it might look sunny and it's not real windy, but these cold temperatures, you can get frostbite. These kids are out here outside for half an hour to an hour. without proper protection, they can get some frostbite. So just keep that in mind. We're not used to that kind of thing around here in the wintertime, frostbite. But with these kind of temperatures, you got to be aware of that. You got to have gloves on. Make sure they keep the gloves on. Don't lose them. A jacket, zip up the jacket. A hat, keep the hat on, because when they come home and their ears are really red, you're going to wonder what's going on. But with these kind of temperatures, we're not used to that down the south. Now, this cold air, you can see it has affected about 99% of the country. Look at how much the country is under the blue, white, or purple. Now, it's not as bad as it has been. We've seen temperatures up here way below zero. We're down single digits, near zero. So it's better, and the air mass is modifying, but you can see how expansive this cold air is. It's 40 all the way down the Mexican border there, Brownsville, 49 in LA. That's chilly for them. Let's see, the only place that's in the 50s now is Miami at 54. But like I told you, Orlando, 38 degrees. That's cold in Disney World. They're not riding any of those rides in Disney World with temperature of 38 degrees. At least I wouldn't. But it's cold everywhere. 9, you can see there, Indianapolis. 18, and they had a foot of snow almost in New York City. So it's frigid up there. 5 in Pittsburgh, 0 Minneapolis, 4 below in Bismarck. So this is some pure Arctic air, and it's made it all the way down to Mexico. So this is the coldest air we've seen in a couple of years. So for today, we'll see the melting starting, but really not until this afternoon. So this morning, still icy out there. Even though the sun is out, the air temperature's got to get above 32. That's simple physics, right? So we're looking at that to happen this afternoon with the sun. Tonight, not as cold. We'll see some places maybe near 20, but a lot of places will be in the mid to upper 20s for lows. So maybe a 19 here or there, but not like we're seeing this morning. Even warmer on Wednesday with temperatures near 51 degrees. So we're going to see a mixture of sun and clouds with temperatures in the 50s. As we go through time here on your precision cast, you can see the 40s today, maybe a few clouds. And then tonight, we're going to see not as cold. We'll see mainly 20s. Like I said, maybe a 19 here or there, but mainly 20s. So that's not a big deal. Then for Wednesday, we'll see low 50s possibly and some 40s, because we're going to see a mixture of sun and clouds. And then on Thursday, maybe some mid 50s. So if you see enough sunshine, things will definitely get a little bit warmer. Now, I want you to show you this right here. See this little spin? Remember, the red wind barbs are south winds. The blue are north winds. This is that reinforcing shot of cold air. There's a little low pressure area here that's going to be developing. Counterclockwise circulation. Not really a big cold front. And as you can see, we're not seeing a lot of precipitation with this little system. This is a little low that's going to come through Thursday evening, and that's going to reinforce the cooler air. So Thursday night, we'll see some clouds. Not seeing a lot of precip with this. So we'll have to wait for that because it's going to be a lot colder on Friday. So today, we'll see the red weather alert get expired at noon today. We'll be in the 40s, so we'll see some melting, more melting coming on Wednesday and Thursday. Then that little low pressure area, a little upper level disturbance, bringing in another shot of cold air, will be coming in on Friday. And it's going to cool it down for Friday, Saturday. Sunday will be cold in the 30s and 40s. Now, one thing I want to mention is, we had the power outages the last couple of days because of the ice and the sleet. Now, if you haven't lost power by this point, you probably won't. Not likely. I mean, I can't say you won't, but not likely, because most of the precip is beginning to melt. So the problem we're having today, because of the coldest temperatures we've seen with this, we're down the teens, is broken pipes, frozen pipes, and busted water lines, that kind of thing. Now, it is down in the teens right now, so you're not going to know about it right now. If your pipes if you don't have water coming out of the faucet, you got some frozen pipes. Problem is when those pipes freeze, the ice expands that pipe, and it just kind of sits there. You don't know if you got a broken pipe until it melts. Once the temperatures get above 32 into the 40s today and tomorrow, everything starts to melt, and then you know you got a broken pipe when you got water leakage. So just be aware of that, in your house or anywhere else, because you won't know you got a broken pipe until things start to melt. And those pipes had a little hole in it from the expansion of the water into ice, and then the water escapes through that little break in the pipe, and you notice you got a broken pipe. So we might be seeing some of that later today once temperatures get above freezing, and they will, into the 40s. We'll see about broken pipes. So some of these schools around the Arklatex have some really old plumbing. And so they might be having frozen pipes right now, but they don't know about them until temperatures warm up. So a lot of these schools are going to notice, water in the schools from the broken pipes. They don't notice it until the afternoon when they start to maybe inspect some of these schools. They see there's water out there because of broken pipes. They won't know it till later today. So that could also cause schools to close if they get broken pipes and there's water to deal with. So there's a couple things that they're watching: road closures, if there's not enough ice melting, and some broken pipes in some of these older schools with some of that old plumbing that we're watching. So those are the kind of things we're going to watch for today and tomorrow, but temperatures will definitely warm up. Roads will definitely improve with the warmer temperatures for sure. So that's some good news. You'll be able to get around. There'll be more businesses open. Most businesses were closed the last couple of days and allowed them to be closed today. Some of them open this afternoon when it gets to warming up. So you'll have more stores open and restaurants and whatnot. So things will start to get back to normal today, especially tomorrow and on Thursday. So just keep that in mind. Looking at some of the DOT cameras here in the Shreveport-Bossier area, you can see I-20. We looked at this before. Industrial Drive, it's got some good pavement here. I-20 and Common Street, some good pavement here as well. So things are beginning to come back. I think a lot of these roads will be back up again, especially I-49 and other places either later today or tomorrow. Some of the elevated roadways like this one here, 49 and 220, that's elevated. I mean, it's really elevated. So they got to get that ice off of there, and they probably haven't done anything to it. So they might just let it melt. And this one here as well, some of these are really elevated. So, this one looks pretty good, 220 going over Cross Lake. So that's how it looks. We're going to have a newscast at 9 o'clock this morning on KPXJ. We'll have updates on news and weather. So we will see you then.